2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, I'm Georgia Lyons, and this is Industry Intros. And today I am so excited to have my very special friend, Poppy Tohill, on Intros. Hello, Poppy.
Hello, Georgia.
Poppy, I don't even know when we first met, but we've known each other for, it feels like a long time. You are a very strong pillar in this industry. And for those people that do not know you yet, can you tell us, who are you? What do you do? Tell us all.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness, where to start? Well, my name, as you said, is Poppy, and I am predominantly an artist manager, and I also run a record label. So I manage the artist Benny, and I worked with Midoki for a number of years as well, managing him. And also Stella Bennett, who is Benny, her and I started Olive Records about a year and a half ago now. So we also run that together. And we've signed 2 artists so far to that, one being Midoki and the other being There's a Tuesday.
Nice.
So yeah.
Great people.
That's what I do.
Cool. So can you talk to us a little bit about what your musical journey has been to get to this point?
Yeah, gosh. So it's been a long, interesting journey. I was lucky that I was about maybe 12 years old when I kind of decided and figured out that I wanted to work in music one way or another. And I kind of, I guess, got my start in the industry as a music journalist by air quotes because I was about 12 years old and I created my own music blog just because I wanted to promote New Zealand music and Kiwi artists. So yeah, I kind of started this blog and basically interviewed anyone who would say yes to me. So just started reaching out to these artists and sort of lied to them and said that I'm a young aspiring journalist. Didn't really say how young, didn't really kind of say that I had no experience whatsoever. And kind of from there, I started volunteering for as many kind of different companies as I could just to sort of figure out, because I knew there was so many different roles and jobs that existed within music, and I kind of wanted to learn a bit more about each thing that there was that you could do. I worked at Roundhead Recording Studios for a while, 95 BFM radio station. I volunteered for a couple of different management companies. So sort of just kind of getting my foot through the door and trying to meet as many people as I could, do the whole networking thing. But yeah, I guess I kind of fell into management. Like I was very lucky. There's a New Zealand artist called Jen Wigmore, who I know that you know. She was really my main mentor within the music industry, kind of saw that I was so passionate about it, and she got into the industry as a young girl as well, so kind of I think maybe saw a little bit of herself in me kind of thing. So yeah, she sort of took me under her wing, and that's when I learned a lot more of the kind of what you'd do in a management sort of role, and I went on tour with her and kind of just shadowed a lot of people in her team and what she did, so that's how I kind of learned about what management actually was.
Very smart woman, Poppy. Very clever.
Very determined little 12-year-old.
I love that though. So obviously you manage Benny, an international pop star. What is it like working with someone at that level?
It's been a pretty crazy journey with her, to be honest, because I mean, I've been lucky enough that her and I started working together, worked with her from the very beginning when we put out the first song where, you know, nobody really knew who she was at all. And I've been there kind of alongside her for every step of the way up to this point where, you know, last week we announced that she's playing Coachella. So,
which is insane.
It's definitely a very crazy kind of experience, and I'm obviously very proud of her. And no, it's been a great journey, and yeah, it's definitely a wild experience for me as well, because, you know, her and I have kind of grown up alongside each other whilst doing that, and I've learned a lot from starting out with her to, you know, we've got quite a big team, her record label based in the US, so there's kind of quite a big pool of people that you now work with, rather than, you know, when you're first getting started, it's usually a smaller kind of team, and then you eventually build that and grow that out. So yeah, it's been a great learning curve for me as well.
I can imagine with, you know, working at that level, the intensity in terms of the pressure and the stress, how do you navigate that? Are you just a champion? You just take it on the chin, play some football?
I have a lot of grey hairs now already for someone who's like not super old. I mean, it can be at times very stressful, and it is my full-time job. Her and her career take up most of my life, which I obviously love and I'm not mad about it. Thankfully, I've been very lucky, I co-manage her with Campbell Smith at CRS Management. And, you know, him and I work very closely together on managing her. And it's great because, you know, he's been in the industry for years. He's managed Brooke Fraser, The Naked and Famous, kind of throughout all of their success as well. So it's been really a great learning curve. And I think also in terms of, the pressure and the stress, it's nice to kind of have somebody else that you can bounce off. So, you know, when there's a lot to deal with and there's a lot going on, you kind of need to get 1,000,001 things done at one time. He's there on next to me, you know, we're figuring things out together, and it's kind of, you can share the weight a lot, which is really nice. So there's still obviously times that I'll break down and go, oh gosh, there's 1,000,000 things to do. I need to get this done, need to get that done. You know, you're talking to people all over the world rather than just the people in one spot or right next to you. So it's a lot, but there's definitely ways of kind of dealing with it and kind of just, you know, you can stress about it. But if I'm stressed, that can feed over to her. And obviously I want her to not be stressed in a situation if we're putting out new music or whatever it may be. Like, I want her to kind of feel good about everything. So I try and, you know, stay calm and deal through the stress on my own.
You're a very calm person in general.
Thanks.
We've travelled together. There's not many people I would travel with that I would feel like aren't adding to my stress already.
Thanks.
It was great. We had a great time. And I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but you've had, you know, mentors and people as you've done this journey and as things have gotten bigger. How do you go about finding a mentor? And how helpful has that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably plays into the getting into the industry young. I met a lot of people who were older than me who kind of, you know, took me under their wing and sort of nurtured me, I guess. And, you know, they've become, like Jen, for example, you know, is still a very dear friend to me, and she's become like a big sister. And, you know, if there are ever those moments where I need to have a breakdown or need to go, oh, like, what do I do here? I don't know what to do now. I've got those people who, you know, sometimes they've been through that situation before, so you can kind of go to them and they may be able to give you some advice, or it's just another ear of someone that you know is going to kind of understand what you're talking about or where you're coming from. Particularly women. I mean, you know, there's obviously still the gender gap within the music industry, but I have been very lucky from the start that a lot of my mentors have been, you know, strong, kind of powerful women, which is also, I think, what made me kind of hold on to I want to work in the music industry. Like, I've got all of these amazing woman role models that I saw doing the stuff that I wanted to do. So I'm like, well, if they can do it, then why can't I do it? Like, I didn't only just see men doing it and going like, well, where's the woman? I can't see anyone.
Where does my...
Yeah, where do I fit in? Like, why can't I? Like, I want to do that, but I haven't seen a woman doing it, so maybe I can't do it. But thankfully, I met a lot of amazing women particularly, and a lot of men. I was very lucky, like Ricky Morris and some of those people that have been around for a long time as well, sort of were also very helpful and becoming great mentors as well.
Okay, so for me, one thing that I'm really passionate about with creating intros is providing a resource for artists that are trying to figure out what they're doing. You know, that was me for so long, having no idea what I was doing. So what would be some advice you would give to an artist that's looking for management?
Yeah, I guess, like, you know, because the music industry, looking in from kind of the outside, if you're not in it, it is like a very big, scary place. And it's like, oh God, where do I get started? You know, there was people, I mean, it may not sound like it, but, you know, I was a fairly shy kid growing up, so there would be all these people that I wanted to talk to, but I was too nervous to. And then my mum, they would be like, maybe I'd be at a show and they'd be right in front of me, and she's like, why don't you just go say hi, introduce yourself? Like, but then I would get all nervous. I'm like, no, I can't talk to them. Like, they're not going to know who I am. Like, rejection at any point is like really scary. But my mum was always like, no, like, you know, you'll regret it if you don't. Like, what's the worst thing that they can say is no, or they don't respond. And at the time, yeah, maybe that sounds like terrible, like, oh my gosh. But I think, yeah, for artists particularly, like, yeah, don't be afraid of reaching out to, you know, managers or whether it's other people in the industry, other artists, and it can be scary. I know some of the artists that I've worked with kind of like, well, why don't you know, if this is an artist that you like, why don't you send them a message and just say, hey, I'm a fan of what you do, would love to catch up. Or and the cold emailing and cold calling, that kind of thing is very hard, and not everyone's going to respond. But, you know, networking is key, and it's what got me into the industry and what's brought me this far. So, like, it does work. I used to just pester everybody until they kind of gave in, and then now here I am.
It's great. Okay, so for an artist that is maybe looking at management, at what point should an artist look at that?
I get asked this question a lot because, there is it's so often such a natural kind of relationship that sort of develops rather than I know hardly any artists that have, found a manager from emailing a manager and being like, hey, Poppy, here's my music. And then I'm going to see it and go, oh yeah, I'm going to manage this person now, perfect, done, easy. Which again makes it sound really hard. And yeah, it's not easy. But I think managers are usually looking for someone who's active on social media, has things going on. We're going to want to know that you're playing shows and that you can play live as well. You may have really great songs recorded and be a great songwriter and send those to me and I listen and they're awesome. And then I go see you live and you just don't cut it live. But it's kind of just sort of keep working away at everything. And I always talk to artists about, don't post when you've only got things going on. So if you're only posting when you've got a show, it's okay, great, because if you're an artist that I'm interested in, I'm going to go to your socials to see what your following's like or what you're up to. And
what's going on.
What's going on and who's kind of watching and who's looking and blah, blah, blah. And if you're posting frequently, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to post breakfast every morning or whatever, but it's if you're only posting, oh, I've got a show, come to my show, and then you don't post again for another 2-3 months until your next show, and then you're promoting the show, I'm going to go, okay, well, all they're trying to do here is, no, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. You're very good at social media. It's hard though, because that also takes time to build up that social media as well, and you kind of go, well, if I don't have anything going on, what do I post? Yeah. But I think just kind of work on the whole package in terms of networking, talking to as many people as you can, whether it be artists, whether it be people who work at radio stations, and just meeting as many people as you can really is so helpful. And if you don't hear back from people, don't kind of try not to get too disheartened by it, send it to someone else or follow up in a couple of months and say, hey, I know you're probably busy, didn't hear from you last time, but by the way, I've got a show coming up. Half the time an artist will send me music and I won't have time to listen to it, or I'll be away on tour and I haven't had a chance to get back to them. But they may send me another message and say, hey, I sent you an email a month ago, I know you're probably busy, but I've got a show coming up and I'd love for you to come, I can put you on the door. And then I'll be like, oh shoot, okay, that's right, I did want to check out Georgia, I did want to check out whoever it was and go to that gig, and then I'll go to that show if I can. And then you've started that natural kind of relationship or progression. Yeah, cool. Just kind of keep building your brand, I guess, because, managers and everyone are looking for what you have, and the more the better, because we kind of want to know what there is to work with if we're going to work with you.
And obviously it's relationship is key. And so, the person that you work with, you want to have some kind of relationship rather than it just being very clinical.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a weird word to use in this context.
It's never going to work as well if that relationship is clinical or is forced. If it's kind of, if you're throwing two people together and go, okay, I'm an artist, you're a manager, let's work together. It's never going to last long. It is like a relationship, especially I guess the way that I work with my artists, it's such a close relationship. You need to, Stella needs to be comfortable with Benny needs to be comfortable with telling me anything, and she knows that she can kind of trust me with any information if she likes, and I have to be able to, in myself, feel comfortable if she comes to me with an idea and I go, look, I see where you're coming from, but I don't know if this is going to work, or how about this? You have to kind of be comfortable telling it how it is. And, sometimes those conversations can still be hard no matter how long you've been working together.
Totally.
But you have to, there is such a great sense of trust within that artist to manager relationship. It's not going to last long term if you can't kind of put your trust in your manager or
trust
put your trust in the artist.
Yeah. I feel like I trust Mikey with my life, But I do. I feel like I know that he is fully in my corner. Whatever.
And that's what managers should be there for as well. You are the boss. Managers are working for you. You are still the boss. We're there to help you with decisions and help you kind of take care of a lot of the business side, so that you don't have to necessarily get too bogged down while you're trying to work things on the creative side and write music and all that sort of side. And there's obviously an element of you having to be involved in the business side too, because the business is you as the artist. You are the business.
Yes.
But like we're there as your sounding board, I say usually to artists to bounce ideas off, and you know there may be ideas that an artist has that I'm like, actually I don't know if that's really great, and then we go away and it proves me wrong, and I'm like, well there you go, like that song did really well, or that video was great, like you proved me wrong, and that's why you're coming up with the ideas.
This one time that you came on tour with me, and I thought it was a really great idea to not jump through a window, but appear through a window. You know, and I had no one else there to tell me that it was a bad idea, and Poppy was like, bad idea. And it was a bad idea.
Because sometimes you can just like, as an artist as well, because you're so creative, you're constantly thinking of ideas and things that would be great to do. And sometimes it's so easy, I feel, just to, not to speak for the artists and creatives, but it's so easy to just kind of get carried away or excited about an idea. Like, oh my gosh, climbing through the window would be so funny and so good, you know? And like, and you look at it and you go, I'm like, from the outside perspective, yes, it's funny to us because we're friends and I find it entertaining. But are these people who are paying to come to the show to see you, maybe they know you as an artist, or they know a little bit about you, or they don't know you at all. Like,
which most of that room had never probably heard of me.
Yeah, so it's like, are these people gonna find it hilarious, or are they gonna be like, why the hell is she climbing through a window?
Which is like, probably what would have happened. And that's, you know, to trust in relationship is everything. That's, I think,
definitely
the foundation for a really great management team. You know, at the end of the day, you're a team, you're working through, you know, what you're trying to achieve, your vision as an artist, you know, you're trying to enjoy the journey and have people support that journey with you. And it's hard. And so if you've got that relationship with your manager, you've got like that trust element.
Half of it is there already, you know, and then it just...
So find someone that you trust. I think that's
the biggest, one of the key elements of, you know, if you're an artist looking for a manager as well, you know, it's so easy to have a meeting with a manager and they're interested and then get really excited and go, they want to manage me, like, and then you jump into it too quickly. And I've seen it happen, unfortunately. You know, a lot of young artists, they're like, okay, I really want a manager now, and they choose to sign or work with the first manager or person that they meet. And maybe there has been occasions and scenarios where that works out and it's great and it's awesome and it's perfect. But again, sometimes if you jump in too quick, there is the chance that like the trust wasn't built, that you kind of didn't give that time to give it a go and see how it was actually going to work out, and then it just doesn't work for either party, basically. So.
One thing that I am learning as I'm navigating this wild journey is I have to keep my foot on the gas pedal and work as hard as, you know, the team around me and the people that are working with me and alongside me. How important do you think is that for an artist to be working equally as hard as, you know, their management or their wider team?
Yeah, well, I think to kind of get to become, you know, a successful artist and to build a career off it and to make it a sustainable career as an artist as well, you know, you have to want it, and you have to then put in the time and effort to keep going and to go up those steps, the progressional steps, basically. I mean, yeah, it's important because there's only, as a manager or having the team behind you as well, there's only so much we can do if you're kind of only going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. Or there's only so much pushing your management and team can do to you as the artist. You know, some artists will maybe in their minds they're like, oh, as soon as I get a manager, they'll make me successful. It's like, I can't find an artist and go, oh look, there's a great artist, and then they sit there and do nothing and boom, I can't make you successful overnight if you're going to sit there and do nothing. You know, we can't work with nothing, basically, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Very true.
It's like the artist needs to be proactive about wanting it and doing things as well.
It's like vision is everything. And as an artist, for me, I'm like, if I don't know where I want to go, none of my team can support me in that direction. I need to work as hard and communicate to my team, this is actually what I want to do. How do we do that? How can I learn from you? How can I collectively use this group of people that know way more about everything than I do to, you know, launch me into that direction?
Yeah, and that's what makes it so helpful. Like the clearer vision that you have of who you want to be seen as by the public or by your fans and whatnot, like the easier it makes it for us as well.
You've got to give me something.
You've got to give me something to work with, basically. Yeah.
Poppy, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being on Industry Intros. We love you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're amazing.
I love you. You're amazing.
That was super weird,
I love
but
it.
it was great.
But it's us.
It's us. It's great.